Hello Space Watchers and welcome back to SINC. This is the third day and last day, unfortunately, of the conference. I have the pleasure and honor to be here with Ines D'Avila, the Space Safety and Transportation Officer at the Portuguese Space Agency. Ines, how are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Sad that this is the last day, but Ines yesterday participated to a very interesting session about debris, and she said some very interesting concept that I would like to pick up today. I want to pick her brain on this. Ines, the first thing you mentioned was the problem of collision avoidance maneuver. Why is so difficult to have a framework, transparency in approaches? Why is so difficult to avoid collisions in space or understand who did what?
Yeah, so at this point we have so many debris in space that the most important thing is not to create any more debris. So that's the concept basically of space traffic management. Make sure that we manage as best as possible the satellites and the operations that we have in space. And so we have here different layers. On one hand, you need to have data. You need to know where the objects are, because otherwise you cannot really say, okay, we have a close approach, we are going to collide with something. So that's one part. Then the satellites in space, they need to have propulsion capabilities that actually, if you have a close approach, they can deviate and they can change their routes. And overall, so even if you have all of these, you have the data, you have the propulsion capabilities. For example, if you have two active satellites and they have a close approach, you need to communicate. Operators need to communicate between them to understand, okay, we have a close approach, what is the plan? Will you deviate? Will I do any maneuver? And so it's very important to be transparent, not only in the data that we have, but mainly in communication when we are talking about active satellites, communication between operators to actually have a plan and make sure that we, as best as possible, we can manage space operations.
Fun fact, we always fail when it comes to communication, actually. A question that was asked yesterday, and I think is very important, is like, who is the responsibility? Who is responsible to clean up space? And it's a difficult question. Can you explain me why it's so difficult to get an answer?
Yeah, so indeed it's a difficult question. We have been having a lot of conversations worldwide about the problem on space debris. And it's difficult because on one hand you have so many different fragments and debris in space. We have already not functional satellites, but you have different pieces, rocket bodies, and I would say mostly in terms of debris, some of them are fragments from different satellites. So we do not really know who the debris belong to. Some of them, even if they are satellites, maybe the company doesn't exist already. So we are talking about, we do not really know to who belongs which kind of debris or which piece, which object in space. And so it's very difficult then to assume a responsibility of you have to take these out. And we do not have any regulatory framework. And so by now, we really do not have an answer on who should do what. So we can just, in the future, have different frameworks or standards that say, okay, we put something there, but at the end, let's try to remove it. So for the future, let's just try to remove what we put in space.
And speaking about regulatory framework, I know that in a few weeks in May in Lisbon, there's going to be a very important UN meeting. It's a management and sustainability of outer space activities meeting. What do you expect? What shall we expect from this meeting? It's quite important.
Yeah, so it's quite important. It's a conference organized by the Portuguese Space Agency together with UNOSA. We had already two symposiums, virtual symposiums, one in November and one in March, on the technical side and policy, to exactly discuss the problems, the challenges, the concerns that our industry and the research centers have. And now in May, we are going to have this in-person meeting in Lisbon. On one hand, on the first day, it will be once again with the different actors, research centers, industry, overall public, to just voice their concerns and to talk about the problem that we have right now. And then on the second day, it's going to be a more high-level day conference. We are going to have some high-level personalities, and at the end, we'll try to have very important the Lisbon Outer Space Manifesto, which will be the outcomes to actually the Summit of the Future, where we are going to discuss the future possible frameworks and the future role of United Nations. And hopefully in this conference we are expecting to have also the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. So we hope it's going to be an important conference, and hopefully this will actually push conversations on the needs for the future for space sustainability.
Let's hope it can be actually produce something concrete. Thank you very much, Ines. This was very informative, and I wish you a good continuation of SINC and good permanence on the Maldives. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Space Watch out. Keep staying tuned with us from the Maldives.